talking about a couple of tech choices for the new format here that caught my attention. I don't think the 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button, smash it so you guys don't miss out. More awesome content. Number 1 on our list here is going to be Spiritual Water Art Owlway. Now, you're probably like, really? Target or tribute a water monster, look at your opponent's hand, send 1 card from their hand to the graveyard. With a pointer of the Red Lotus poofing off into the sunset, Rika players have actually been looking for ways to, get hand knowledge away from the opponent. And Spiritual Water Art Owlway is going to be one of those cards that gives you access to this. Now, obviously, like a pointer, it's going to be a card that you're going to have to hard draw, but I don't think that that's an issue. The fact that you have a card like this that lets you tribute off, one of your most worthless cards that you could have, or, hey, maybe your opponent has a nice little monster that, meets the requirements for Owlway as well. But either way, I think just the fact that this card is seeing an uptick in play right now is very good. Obviously, we did see Rika Sun Avalon being the main perpetrator for this, but we also did see a Sky Striker deck that was actually side decking this as well, because you're going to end on a Shizuku if something happens to the Shizuku, or you want to go ahead and tribute off the Shizuku, for example. I mean, maybe one comes back to your main monster zone, or you want to make one in the main monster zone and then go ahead and Owlway during the standby phase to get that knowledge from your opponent. I think that's actually pretty good. The different option trees that you can kind of bring to the table right now for something like this is really good. And we haven't actually seen Owlway see a lot of play. Oh man, it's been a couple of formats. It's always had niche play movements, but it hasn't been anything too particularly interesting. So if you're a Rika Sun Avalon player, a Sky Striker player looking for a cool tech, or if you've got access to anything really water that you think that you contribute with ease and not worry about, then I think that this is something that you can probably fit into your deck and have it actually work out. Next up is the Katakuri Barrel Model 96 Shin Kuro. Yeah, I said that correctly. Super Heavy Samurai and the Super Heavy Samurai innovations out here. People have been trying out so many ideas. We actually saw a while back that Shin Kuro was starting to see play out of the Kong's Cards tournament. And actually, I got to watch a pretty cool replay where Shin Kuro actually was showing up, and he was actually being used as a stepping stone. Now, if you're looking at Shin Kuro, you're like, oh my god, this is like some crazy innovation. Not really. He is merely just there to make Burrito and then get special summon and then make Baron. That is his entire life purpose. He is a level 2 tuner monster that steps on in to a larger monster. Honestly, the thing with this format is actually, in modern era Yu-Gi-Oh!, Baron has become such a clutch piece. The fact that people rely on the Omni Negate from Baron is going to be the reason why you saw things like Excel Synchro, Stardust Dragon, and Gamma being abused so much, because the value that you're putting into that card, the essential negation, and actually the toggle out value too, is really good. If Baron sticks around to your turn and gets the ability to tutor on back in for, something else, it's really good. Also, I mean, let's be honest here, you can also net yourself some free draw power off of Burrito. Sometimes, but not all the time, it happens. It's very cute, the little things that you can do. So I'm very happy to see that the Karakuri monsters are seeing some sort of play. It isn't exactly, some crazy thing, but when you have extension options that can lead into, crazier, stronger boss monsters, that's the thing that makes people really look at these things and go, wow. Next up, now this one actually really blew my mind. It is Magicalized Dustin Mop, or Dustin Mop. Now, I don't know if you guys remember the Dustins out here, but, let me tell you, anytime that I would see the Dustins actually mattering, it was crazy. But the fact that their equip card is actually really good. So you can only control one Magicalized Dustin Mop. Okay, well, sure. The equipped monster cannot be tributed or be used as fusion, synchro, or exceed material for a summon. And when this card is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can add one Dustin monster from your deck to your hand. So you're probably like, hold on here. So why are we playing this? It's for Minkanko. Minkanko players at this point in time are so sick of having their boss monster actually outed. actually, the fact that Mop here, actually, you equip it on to, say, like, I don't know, a Ha-Ray that's got a couple of equips, even like the Ohime that's equipped up. Now your opponent has to deal with a monster that they can't tribute. They can't actually fuse with it, synchro with it, or exceed with it. Yeah, they could still technically do Underworld Goddess, but if they're committing 4 monsters to the field, or however many, you know, that they need to commit to make the Underworld Goddess, I feel like you're in a pretty good position at that point in time. But the whole purpose of this card is to ensure that your boss monster is protected. And we haven't really, I haven't seen a lot of other players like exploring option trees trying to play this. Actually, I think that this is the first time that I've seen Mop actually have any sort of competitive merit. But with kaijus running around in the format, you have to really give some consideration and explore, you know, can we make sure that, you know, our investment is protected? And this ensures at the bare minimum that you are good to go. Next up is enemy controller. Holy moly! Econ saw so much play. Oh my gosh, Kashtira, Sprite decks. I was seeing this in side decks out here. Enemy controller is back. Alright, now, up until this point, I mean, we were seeing talents doing kind of like the same thing that enemy controller was doing, where, you know, you're going to tribute a monster, take your opponent's super stack of exceed monsters, you're going to slap your own Zeus or your own Arise Heart on top of it. Enemy controller is a very, very scary card right now, and I think a lot of players are kind of discounting this. The fact that enemy controller is definitely going to continue to be, I don't even know if I really want to call it a problem, a relevant piece in the meta is very, very hilarious. Also, I mean, the secondary functionality of getting to switch an opponent's monster into a different battle position does come up sometimes, but not all the time. But a free, hey, you know what, tribute a monster, go ahead and shift some things. You know, you also have Change of Heart. Interesting enough, Change of Heart mind control, or like seeing hardly any play, but enemy controller's defensive options, especially when you can take the opponent's monster during their turn, and then your opponent's like, well, you know, like, that's not fair. I can't actually, you know, make what I needed to make. Like, you know, taking that option tree away from them on a quick play, absolutely bonkers. So, main culprits playing this, things like Kashtira. Sprite has played it a couple of times. It hasn't been really too crazy kind of tech in there, but keep in mind, moving that opponent's monster over to your field, not only does it mean that they can't access it from the graveyard, it means that they now have to deal with it if it has a relevant effect that hasn't triggered yet. Not all the time is that part relevant, but this card is definitely something that you need to be fully aware of being relevant in the metagame. And then next up is Droll and Lockbird. So many people are like, oh, Droll's going to be terrible this format. No, a few people have been playing Droll and Lockbird, and it has had pretty decent results for the players that have had it. There will still continue to be a lot of cards that will continue to search. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. That's just how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is at this point in time. And Droll and Lockbird's entire existence is aimed to stop that. But you have to understand that you've got to kind of question, you know, how many searches is my opponent going to... Actually, how many searches is the meta going to do? And is this going to continue to be a relevant card that I need to have to stop these? And that's... I mean, if you're going into a 8, 9, 10 round tournament, even like a 7 round tournament here, Droll will hit some of those matchups. Once again, not all of the matchups, but tech choices are designed to cover your bases, and Droll is another hand trap that you can add into the very large list of hand traps that you already have existing for you to cover those bases. Is it quite as effective as it once was? In my personal opinion, no. But with that in mind, you are seeing that more and more players are, you know, testing this out, and it has been having decent success out here. So if you're like, oh, we gotta toss Droll away, you know, it's a terrible card in this format, no. Certain players will disagree with you, and I think Droll will win those matchups that it needs to. So those are the tech choices that I have been seeing here. I love some of these. I think some of them are really, really cool. But what do you guys think about these little tech choices? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.